everyone. Is this a good volume? We're testing the volume for the first time. Hello. Welcome. Oh. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jefferson. Is everybody excited to be here? This is such a cool space, and we are grateful to be one of the first events to be hosted in the Jefferson, newly renovated. You're going to hear a lot more about this building and Chris's vision and plans for it for the future. But before we get started, I want to thank our lunch providers today. Tons Downtown, new restaurant coming. Holly, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the smorgasbord of great looking food. I can't wait to eat some food later. And then I also want to give a shout out to Straw Cove Bakery, a project you'll hear more about too from Chris. The ladies at Straw Cove are new members of DLU. We're so excited to have them in the downtown area and have them involved. You got a chance to eat their bread today before they've opened their bakery officially. I'm not going to say how soon it opens because I don't know, but I think it's relatively soon. So really excited to have another new business in the downtown area and some delicious bread to enjoy. Yeah, we can stop for bread. I do want to mention our partners at AOC, the Acadiana Open Channel, who are filming today's Lunch and Learn. So those who couldn't be with us today have a chance to hear Chris's story and his vision for downtown and be a part of the conversation after it happens. There's a lot of people connected to this project in this room. I'm sure Chris is going to share more about that with us as we go, but we're just really grateful to be here. We're excited about this renovation. We're excited about the investments that Chris is making in downtown. I don't know where the clicker is. Nice wood floors. I'll click around. Okay, so we invited Chris and Leah, honestly, to share with us today their thoughts on creating vibrancy through investing in commercial real estate. So Chris is going to tell you more about his bio. He's going to unpack it for you, kind of how he's come to owning this building, so I don't want to spoil it. And then we're really excited to have Leah as well, who is on his team at Maison Title, but is also a big lover of downtown and a DLU board member. And she's been adding a lot of creativity to the conversation at DLU about how we engage people like you through our PR and marketing efforts. And so I'm excited to hear her perspective on Maison's investments, but to give you more perspective also as a DLU board member. So Chris, this is yours. This is your PowerPoint. So I'm going to invite you to kind of join me. And you should probably do the clicking, to be sure, unless you want me to. Okay. So hey, we talked about Chris. Chris is going to unpack, as I mentioned, his history, some of the things he's been up to over the last few years. So I'm going to let him do that. We're also going to dialogue as we go. And I do want to invite y'all, if you have questions or you want to add to the conversation, we both love for things to be super casual and interactive, so please feel free to stop us or ask a question or build upon what we're talking about. This is meant to be a dialogue today. So, Chris, let's start with your business portfolio. Does it hard? Do you want this one?
Hey guys, as Anita said, I'm Chris Granger. I'm the owner of this building, which I'm super proud of. It was a long, hard project, but I'm excited to kind of have such a major investment in downtown Lafayette. And so just kind of going to give you a little bit about me. I'm from St. Landry Parish, born and raised. Mom was a school teacher, dad was a welder. So kind of very early on, I knew that I wanted to do something that didn't involve working in the heat, like my dad. And so my mom has this thing in her house. Second grade, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it said lawyer. I'm pretty sure a teacher told me to put that. And that was kind of the plan since second grade. So I just kind of stayed focused on that path. Ended up going to law school at Southern University Law Center once I completed undergrad here at UL. Went into practice in 2013. Started my own practice in 2016, which is Maison Title. And from there, kind of things just grew. I've kind of always been kind of obsessed and interested in real estate. In my opinion, it's the single best investment vehicle. My CPAs who are here may have a different opinion than that. But in my opinion, it's allowed me to build wealth at a rate Title in Granger, which is where my wife and kids, we live. My wife is from Granger. My father was an attorney there for 130 years. So he retired a few years before I got out of law school, so I kind of was able to just kind of work my way into that community and open Maison. That grew really, really quickly, and kind of in 2018, 2019, things kind of really took off, and we started getting more Lafayette Parish business. And so in 2020, we bought a really ugly little house on Congress Street, renovated it, and made it the Maison Title Lafayette location. We opened, and 4 days later shut the office down for COVID, per the governor's orders. Went back in office work maybe 3-ish months later, and early this year, January, we opened our move to our new downtown location, which is at 1118 Jefferson Street, which is right behind Home Bank across the street from Cedar Deli, if you know where that is. So Maison Title, we handle all real estate and commercial transactions. We do, we average anywhere between 75 and 100 transactions a month. What we do, so that's my day job. That's how I make a living. And then from there, we've been able to kind of take all of the profits from there and kind of reinvest them into my real estate company, which is 7 Oaks Granger, which owns all of our rental properties and this building and all the cool stuff that we get to do.
I have a question, but first a fun fact. Chris and I are both 34. He's from St. Landry Parish. I'm from Acadia Parish, just down the road. And I guess it takes people from all over Acadiana to revitalize downtown, so fun fact. So a question, you said your business started to grow in Lafayette,
Yeah.
and so you purchased a piece of property on Congress Street, and then COVID happened, and things got real weird, but things started really blowing and going for the real estate market. And then you decided to purchase this building just a few years later. Can you talk about that decision? This is really putting down roots, and we'll talk about a lot more roots, including this one, in downtown Lafayette. But what was the kind of impetus for this building purchase specifically?
So kind of once COVID happened and the shock of the first few weeks wore off, as everyone knows, interest rates tanked, refis and purchases went through the roof. And so we, at that point, we had jumped up to maybe 120 to 140 closings a month. We were closing on hoods of cars, in duck blinds, people's front porches, driveways, pretty much anywhere we could close them. And so because of that, we had to staff up, and we essentially just outgrew our office before we were able to get back into it after the governor lifted the order. And so almost immediately we had to come up with a plan to get a bigger office. So we ended up purchasing the house on the side of us and the house behind us on Congress Street. And the plan was that kind of once things settled down and the dust settled, we would move those houses off the lots into some empty lots that I owned in the La Place subdivision. And then we were going to build us a brand new office. And so that was the plan. I personally am a sucker for old houses, and anytime a really cool old house goes on the market, it's hard for me not to want to purchase it. And so I had a realtor friend at like 10 o'clock at night shoot me a text message like, hey, this just hit the market. I think it's Maison Title's brand, style. We went and looked at it, and we ended up purchasing this in lieu of doing the whole construction of Congress Street. This one was a little bit more in the heart of where we wanted to be. It's across the street from Borden's, so you can't go wrong. So that's how we ended up here. It was just a necessity. We just outgrew. Yep.
Cool, good story. Maybe you'll build a building on Congress Street yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned 7 Oaks. Tell us a little bit more about this company and how it is helping you kind of grow your footprint.
Absolutely. So 7 Oaks Granger is my wife and I's LLC that owns all of our real estate portfolio. It's named 7 Oaks because the land that my wife inherited where we built our house has 7 oak trees on it. And it's in Granger. So that's the name 7 Oaks Granger. It started, so a couple years after I started Maison Title, started making a little bit of money. So we started buying rent houses in St. Landry Parish, Sunset, Granger area. And so in 2018, at that point, we had 9 residential units, and then we had built this little strip center right behind our office in Granger, just these little small commercial units. And then kind of 2020, the COVID hits, the refi boom hits, Maison Title starts making more money, I have more funds available to me. And so in 2021, at that point, we had purchased 76 new residential and 6 new commercial units. And from 21 to 23, my wife and I have now purchased 222 new residential units and 27 new commercial units. So the portfolio as a whole, we have a little over 400 rental units, both residential and commercial.
So LaPlace is an important part of your story. I'd love for you to unpack a little bit for folks why you've made the decision to invest in LaPlace, starting with some of these rent houses, kind of your philosophy behind purchasing these and then improving them so that people can have great spaces to live in that neighborhood. And then you have a super recent investment that you're helping to stand up in LaPlace, and so I'd love for you to kind of connect those dots.
Yeah, absolutely. So our first office in Lafayette was at 716 West Congress. So kind of, I guess, the edge of the LaPlace subdivision. We're kind of right there. That's a subdivision that I personally fell in love with. I think it's an up-and-coming subdivision. There's a lot of old, beautiful homes in it, and I'm a sucker for old houses. And so if I was gonna invest so much of my business and myself into that subdivision, it doesn't make sense to me for me to ignore the rest of the subdivision. And if I believe that if I wanted to see that subdivision kind of come up and become a better looking, more inhabited subdivision, then why wouldn't I just start the trend? And so Monroe Street in the LaPlace subdivision in particular has been just a really good street to us. And so in 2021, I believe this is when this one was, we bought 3 houses right next door to each other on Monroe Street that were in pretty rough shape. And we were able to kind of renovate them. We ended up selling the first 2, that one and the white one right before it, to new residents of downtown. So at the Blue House, I think there's a young attorney. A guy lives there that's heavily involved in downtown Lafayette. And then the last one, the green one, my wife and I still own, and we use it as a rental.
That's good. Okay, so thank you for unpacking that for us. Now I'll talk about one of your newest ventures in LaPlace.
Yeah, so 111 Monroe Street, this is a little warehouse that's right before the corner of Simcoe and Monroe. It's right on the railroad tracks. This one we bought with a specific idea in mind. That idea did not work out, and so I was kind of stuck holding this warehouse, not knowing what to do with it. And then Leah, who's head of all marketing and brand relations for the companies that we own, has some really great friends that were living in New Orleans. One was a baker down there, was an incredible chef, and they were thinking and toying with the idea of moving back home to Lafayette, and just kind of got to talking. And so this is going to be the home of the Straw Grove Baking Company. There's going to be a new wholesale bakery in the LaPlace subdivision. They will mill their own flour. They will sell wholesale bread. I think they're also going to do baking classes in it. So it's going to be it's just another cool thing downtown. Just another reason to get people here that may not normally come to downtown.
Awesome. Okay, so I think we're almost at the point of talking about this building, but there's a bridge to it.
Yep.
So help people understand not only the beauty and history of this place, but the use that you saw for it, why it was so interesting to you, and why it was a good fit for what you've been building over many years.
Yep. So our third company that my wife and I own is Lafayette Reception and Catering. Most people know this because of Abacus on Pinhook. That's our restaurant. It was started and founded by my mother and father-in-law, Megan's parents. And so they started that 15 years ago, maybe. They retired. They were going to sell the company off to a third party. And Megan and I decided to take it on. So in November of last year, we purchased that company from them along with the restaurant. At that point, we had 5 event venues, Abacus, we had the Trust Room on Ambassador, Stone Oaks and Opelousas, the Grand Barn, and the Wolf Hall in Washington. And so when this property came up, I had to find a way to get it. I just love this building. This to me is the prettiest building downtown. No offense to any other property owners. So I had to find a way. I wanted it. I just knew what this could be. And again, if I want to see downtown be what I want it to be, then why wouldn't I just be the one to start moving in that direction, or to help the people that have already started moving in that direction? And so part of that in my mind is to get people downtown that maybe normally would not come to downtown. And you know, as we know, we don't get to choose where weddings are hosted. You know, you kind of just got to go when you're invited. And so this made sense to turn this into the 6th wedding venue for Lafayette Receptions and Catering. It had kind of already been an event space, in a sense, because it was a college bar. But yeah, that was kind of the reason why. Like, that's how I figured out how to, ultimately, I got to cash flow the building. It's got to make sense. And so putting LRC, this is another venue, was a way to help cash flow the building.
So, we're here, we're at 500 Jefferson.
We are.
Do you want to talk about, because you have all those great pictures of all the other businesses that are involved, you want to do that real quick and then circle back?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so Abacus is a lunchtime, Monday through Friday restaurant on Pinhook. It's buffet style, so it's pretty much, we just feed like we would a wedding event 5 days a week for lunch. It's been super duper successful, and that kind of allows us to keep our chef and our kitchen staff on full time to prep for the wedding. So again, the lunchtime thing, so that building when my father-in-law bought it wasn't bought with the intention of being a full-time restaurant. The full-time restaurant came about because it was a way to cash flow his payroll to have his weekend chef and event staff. The trust room on Abacus, the trust room by Abacus on Ambassador, is one of our newer venues. I think we've only been in there for maybe 3 or 4 years. We don't actually own that building. Jeremy Bro, a local developer, owns the building, and we basically rent the space from him in order to have our events there. That's another really, really beautiful one. He has these really awesome antique trusts, hence the name of the trust room, in the building, and that one's super popular. Granger Ballroom, this is actually right down the road from my first law office in Granger. This one was built by my father-in-law, and it was his very first room, so that is where Lafayette Reception and Catering started. Stone Oaks Ballroom, and this is an old like thoroughbred farm. There was a guy that owned a primate transport business, made a bunch of money and built this barn, and then when he went to offload it, we retrofitted it to be air conditioned and event space, and so yeah, we hold a bunch of outside weddings there because the grounds are so great. And these two are my favorite. This is in my hometown of Washington, Louisiana, which is North St. Landry Parish. Wolf Hall is probably our second most popular venue. It's just a giant old cypress warehouse, essentially what it was. So all the way to the right of the picture was the general store. The big brick building was just the overflow warehouse. So when the steamboats would come into Washington, offload at what's now the Steamboat Warehouse restaurant, this was the overflow warehouse, and it was owned by Mr. Wolf. And so that one, there's been a lot of things. When I was a kid, it was a clothing store called Village Boutique. I modeled a Snoopy line in it when I was younger, so there's some good pictures out there. But yeah, now we use it as an event hall. That one, we've had weddings, upwards of 500-600 people at that venue. And then the Schmidt Hotel we're only a couple months into that one. We just purchased that one. This one, by his name, was historically a hotel. Over probably the last 20-25 years, it's been someone's private residence. And so the idea behind this one is that we're going to use this one as almost like a bridal suite place for out-of-towners to stay when they come to weddings at the Wolf Hall. Because currently the closest hotel is the Holiday Inn on Cresswell Lane in Opelousas, which isn't the most enticing.
So Chris might be one of the most Acadiana people in Acadiana. So we're going to do another fun fact, and then we're going to do a game.
Okay.
So the Schmidt Hotel building was owned by Dave and Kathleen Ryder,
Correct.
who sold it to you, and then they bought the Gar building just a few down
Correct.
on Jefferson Street. So,
Yep.
we're all connected.
And actually, Miss Karen, who sold me the house,
Karen,
she was my gifted teacher from 2nd grade all the way to high school. So she's taught me since I was that big.
Okay, so let's play a game. You have how many venues? 7? 9?
We have 6 venues. I mean, this would be the 7th.
Okay, so that one doesn't count because it's not open yet.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so 6 venues. Who's been to a wedding reception at one of these venues? Raise your hand. Okay.
Oh, wow.
If 2, keep it up. 3, 4, 5.
Anita, you can't have a baby and win on that.
Then Michelle won. Wait, hold on, 6.
Michelle doesn't
Yeah,
want
I've
to
been to this ship, but everything else I've been to.
So I haven't been to the trash room, so Michelle wins. She wins a downtown live t-shirt. Get your downtown live t-shirt. Michelle. She's a past board member. She can't win either. Really cool. Let's go back to 500 Jefferson.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit more about what your vision for this was holistically, because it's not just an event venue.
Right.
There's other components, and we want to talk about like the newest restaurant downtown.
Yeah,
Let's go.
100%. So initial walkthrough through the building, kind of what enticed me to it or what made it make sense is, so there's 5 apartments above us that are just rented to long-term tenants. 4 of the 5 are. And, obviously the cash flow from the second floor allows us to do some more creative, fun stuff down here. And so the big bar, as we call it, is the Jefferson. This is our event space, wedding venue. The small bar on the other side is going to be Tons Downtown, our newest restaurant, owned by so that connection was made through Miss Leah again, being the marketing and brand genius that she is. Connected me with Miss Holly through some fried chicken, and just became slightly obsessed with her food. Think it's awesome, and again, Tons has been around 60 years as of 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Has a huge following, and so again, the theory, getting people to downtown that maybe normally wouldn't come here. I think that a brand as recognizable as Tons Drive-In will pull people to downtown simply because they want to come to Tons. So just trying to get boots on the ground.
Love it. Very cool. I don't know what happens next in this presentation. So
Yeah, me neither, Leah.
let's see. Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think in our pre-talk about how this is how do we do it all? And so the way that we do it is we have a general manager, operations manager, or head honcho over each one of the companies. So Ms. Casey, she's not here, but she's the property manager, person that oversees all of the rentals. So 7 of those Granger. So she handles all of the residential rentals, tenant issues, maintenance, all of that. Miss Mariah Thibodeau was just very, very recently promoted. She's our new operations manager of Maison Title.
Also from Church Point.
Also from Church Point. Miss Cherish Campbell is the general manager of Logic Reception and Catering. She's all the way in the back in the pink back there. So she sells all of our events. She runs all of our events. She makes sure that we look really good when brides and grooms walk in here for their weddings. And then Miss Leah Graeff was the operations manager of Maison Title, but has since been promoted to marketing and brand strategies over all of it, just so we get a little cohesiveness in our branding.
So you want to talk about what's next?
Yeah, sure.
We talked
So
about
yes, Tons Downtown. So those are 2 newer investments for us. Tons. I'm not going to pin us down, but I'm thinking we're only a couple weeks away from Tons Downtown being open. Yeah, Fire Marshal Friday, fingers crossed. Yeah, and so they're going to be open 7 to 2 Monday through Saturday. So breakfast, lunch. They've got a really awesome menu. The food's great. Let it pass. And then the next one we've kind of mentioned is Strongco Baking Company. So that's Ms. Morgan and Danae, that are the 2 owners and the chefs and the brains and the talent behind that venture. Both of them are going to be located in downtown. Yeah, I mean, I just want to do some cool stuff downtown.
Okay, so that's a good segue for us to invite Leah up, if you want to come up, Leah. I'm curious, maybe we can tie these 2 questions together. And Leah, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about your history with downtown first, because I think that's important for people to know. And then kind of a 2-parter, what do you think's been the biggest change downtown in the last 5 years? And then what do you think is still missing from our downtown?
So
My story of downtown is I basically grew up downtown. I'm from Sunset, Louisiana. That's where I grew up, but my family was in Lafayette. So my dad's studio, my dad was an artist and graphic designer. His studio was the bottom floor of the Juliet. So I would sit right there and I'd look out windows and I'd read Where's Waldo while he would work all day. We'd have breakfast every morning at Dwyer's. We'd go to Festival International. We'd come to Downtown Live. Every job that I've had before, starting with Maison title, has been downtown. I was the education director for the Children's Museum. I was a PACE artist at the ACA. I was a talented teacher for St. Andrew Parish. And I also, for 5 years, was the area coordinator for Scene Vision and Children's Area for Festival International. So downtown to me is just amazing. There are so many amenities for the people who live and work here. And, you know, we talk a lot of, I'm on the board, so of course we're talking about how to build build downtown, how more people can come down here. And, you know, we've got some children going to the restroom right now, but like, you know, you hear kind of these things about like more things for kids, and I'm just like, gosh, I did everything down here, you know? Like it's just always been a part of me. So when I started working with Maison, I started driving back out to Granger because I also live, I call it downtown. The throughway split us, but I'm in Sterling Grove neighborhood, and I still call that downtown. So I started driving to Granger, and as we started growing, we were thinking of where we would invest. We knew we had to come to Lafayette because the business was just driving us out here. And we didn't think of anywhere beyond downtown. Like that was where we wanted it to happen. It's the city center. There's the most amenities available to us when we're down here. I'm looking out right here, I see graphic designer, I see real estate agent, I see commercial real estate agent, I see bankers, I see chefs, I see people who do exercise, you know, like wellness, like everything is here. So when we wanted to invest, we wanted to invest in somewhere that we could also provide a service and where we could grow along with an entire community. And that's kind of been all of Chris's businesses. You know, Maison Title, we were in downtown Granger, so we came to the downtown area here. You know, your venues are in downtown Washington. You got downtown Lafayette. You know, like it's just an important place for a community, and so that's where we want to spend our time. That's where we want to provide our service. And I think that's paid out for us because I think it's a genuine desire of ours. Chris and I mean, and even Mariah, our staff, like even coming down here was just exciting to be able to have different options for lunch, or like to take your meetings out of the office and like, let's go have coffee, let's go take a walk. And I think that's where a lot of our ideas come from, because, you know, we'll just walk down, and I mean, that might have even been what, you know, like you're just walking here, like, what is going on in that building, you know, and then the idea starts of like, we can go in there, and, you know, and these sound like these grand ideas, but then once you start, things just kind of start falling in place, and it's a really fun thing to watch.
Yeah, so we talk about downtown being a place full of creativity, creative businesses, creative people. I love how you talked about like when you take a walk around, you get ideas, you interact with people. We did a meetup pre-COVID. It was probably early 2019. It was still the Pearl, which is now Bold. And Liz Payne from Carpe Diem and Stephen Ortego, who has multiple businesses, SF Studios, started Vermilion Lofts, and I can't remember who the third panelist was. Maybe I was the third person sitting at the table, but we were talking about interactions with people and how you can walk out of wherever your office is, your building is, and you see people and you interact and you exchange ideas, and that creativity flows and it creates business relationships, friendships, but you know, breeds like, what else can we be doing together as a little community of people? So I think that's really poignant and something we hear a lot at DDA and DLU, that just that spark that's downtown, it creates new things constantly. So I think that evolution of downtown is because we are all interacting, which is why we do events like the one you're at today, so we can create those connections.
Yeah,
So I
and
appreciate
it's exciting. Like, you know, Chris genuinely, I mean, he chose the right concentration as an attorney, because he is obsessed with real estate. He's a great ally for anyone who is investing as an attorney. He's just very knowledgeable on it and loves to talk about it. And so it's kind of fun to walk around with him and see what could happen, what could go on in the space, how would that happen? You know, he's even helped me, Holly and I have investment properties as well, and, you know, he's helped walk us through that process. So it's just it's a good resource for anybody that's looking for some kind of resource with real estate. But when you're also asking, like, what I think has changed in the last 5 years, I think there is just some life being breathed back into a lot of these old spaces. I think you're seeing a new, I don't want to say generation, but, you know, people are starting to invest for the first time. And they're wanting to do it here. And so I think that's just kind of what is like we're seeing change. It's just like, this is where we want to be because there is so much to access. As an adult now, like, you know, I think I was joking around with somebody earlier, like, I think everyone kind of thought, like, when they walked in, like, when was I in here the last time? What was I doing? You know, so, like, I think as a person in her 40s now, like, the businesses that are opening up that are catering to us as adults that are still wanting social activity, still wanting a nightlife, still wanting to be buzzing around, you know, and this is providing a great space for people to do that alone or with their families. There's a lot of mixed-use spaces where you as an adult can hang out socially, but your kids can be with you. Okay, you know?
Yeah. I'm definitely practicing that.
Yeah. I think it's important, you know, like as a kid that was that, you know, it was great. Like I loved going everywhere with my dad, you know. And downtown was special and it still is special to me. So I'm encouraged by the new ideas and really sustainable businesses that are being opened.
Any thoughts about what's missing, what you'd like to see come in the next couple of years?
My phone's over there, and I have my
Do you
list
have a
over
wish
there.
list? Do you want
Yeah, I'll name it. Okay.
Wish list, is this your
One.
phone? Do you want it? She made a wish list.
No, I do want to take a picture of this, but wish list downtown.
Can you say it? Can you say it?
I wish for a movie theater downtown. I wish for a cold plunge downtown.
Did you send us that in the mail?
Yes.
It was very cute. She drew her vision for downtown. It was a cold plunge. I'm not joking.
I love a cold plunge. Yeah, I would just love, like, you know, we talk about new businesses opening up, and it's not necessarily to create competition, but it's to just provide more. And if something were to open downtown that were a small size gym, that wouldn't stop anyone from going to Ritz. Like, we know that. But it might help someone who works downtown that has an event and can't get to Ritz, but they could come and get a workout in or get a cold plunge in or do something like that and then go to their event. Or maybe they can come before work into that. So, like, I want more amenities for the people that live around downtown to be able to do and spend their time. So a grocery store would be amazing. I know we have some little bodegas, which are awesome, but some more things like that. I love a bar that closes early. Have some music that plays early, you know. But yeah, Mormon, I'm like cold plunge, movie theater, and grocery store.
Okay, so this is probably a good transition to Chris. What's been the biggest change you've seen, and what do you think's missing downtown? And are you working on anything that you want to see that you're willing to share with us?
Yeah, so the biggest change for me, and it's still changing, and like to me, there's still some work to do on it, is the whole bit of I don't want to go downtown because it's dangerous. It really drives me nuts. Listen, no matter where you are, what city you are, what neighborhood you're in, there's the opportunity for something bad to happen, okay? But what I want downtown to be is like, if you've ever walked downtown on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, I want it to feel like that every day. right? So all the shops are open, all the restaurants are open, there's families walking down the street, there's people walking their dogs. You know, you can stop and get a root beer float from the soda fountain shop. Like, you can stop and get a burger from the Flats. I mean, there's just so much to do that I think people automatically reject downtown because of that negative connotation. And in the last few years since we've been downtown, I've seen a shift in that in a lot of people, but I still think there's a ton of work to do. But I think if we can work to spread the good news of downtown and not always the bad news that happens at 2 o'clock in the morning when people that are not even from downtown or shopping downtown do something bad, then I think that's going to help us, and it's going to encourage more people to come and spend money downtown, both in our shops and our restaurants, and investing in downtown, buying more buildings, bringing their businesses here. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest change, but also still the biggest obstacle, I think.
What you working on?
So we've got a couple projects that we're working on. They're still in infancy stages. But yeah, again, all the projects are aimed to get boots on the ground.
What's your wish list?
Yeah, so my wish list, oh man.
The heat economy's already open.
Yeah, they already got the shoe store, so we're good there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a movie theater would be super cool, no doubt. I would like, so like when we travel, like my wife and kids, when we travel, we always end up in the downtown of wherever we're going. If we're going out west, we're in downtown Silverton or downtown Hooray or wherever it is. If we're just going to Texas, we're in downtown Houston, we're in downtown Dallas. Like, I just love the feel of a downtown. And so I think there's an opportunity to do a lot of just really cool things here. I don't necessarily have like a very specific wish list.
Okay.
I just want more people to see how cool and beautiful downtown can be and want to spend their money here and want to bring just cool shit to downtown, to be completely honest.
Bring cool shit. I
Bring
like
cool
that.
shit.
You talk a lot about boots on the ground, and we talk a lot about foot traffic in our office. So I feel like there's really good alignment between a lot of the people who are starting to invest in downtown in wanting to bring that foot traffic because that generates sales, that generates vibrancy, activity. We didn't talk about housing at all. I'm curious on y'all's thoughts on one of our major focuses as an office, which is getting more residents downtown, which create that built-in foot traffic. Leah, you kind of talked about it, and we talked a lot about Laplace, and y'all's new headquarters is in Freetown, and you live in Sterling Grove, and we're constantly collaborating with Macomb, and all of these historic neighborhoods have a lot of built-in potential foot traffic for downtown. We've got some connectivity, things we need to improve. But what about building residential here in the heart of downtown? What are your thoughts on that? And what do you think we could or should be doing more or differently to encourage that?
Yeah, when you spoke last week and gave those numbers of, what was it, 1,200, 2,000?
1,000.
1,000, potential people that could come and live downtown. Like that's what we could house. It's very encouraging to me because it's like, which comes first? We need to provide the amenities, or when you get the people, then the amenities are gonna have to come. Because if I wanna be downtown, it's because, and that's one reason I love living down here, is that it takes me no time to get any of the things that I need. And it's like, you spend so much money on your house and things like that. It's like, I wanna spend as much time as possible in that area. That's where I'm investing, and so I wanna invest as much time there. I think it would be amazing. You have the university, you've got more businesses, opportunity machine, you've got so many things that are opening here, providing the reason to come. So now we just need the space for those people to come to. I think people want to be downtown.
You say there's 1,000 available doors that are vacant?
So that's a good question.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the market study, the residential market study that downtown has done 3 times over now. So that's the potential, and that's units of kind of all kinds, all sizes, various price points. And so we still have a lot of potential, I think is the point, to grow our residential base. We certainly have a lot of surface parking lots where buildings could go, and people could live. You could almost just walk a minute in any direction and see where 150 new apartments could be. So there's a lot of people who are working on that effort. There's been some challenges with infrastructure, prices right now, interest rates. It's kind of a weird time, but I think there's a lot of momentum and energy There's people at nearly every one of these tables who have talked to me about residential in some way, somehow. They want to know what's going on. They want to be involved. They're working behind the scenes right now on multiple projects. So it's really exciting. And I think that we don't quite comprehend what 1,000 new residents in downtown Lafayette would mean for these small businesses that have kind of, taken a leap of faith and really gone first. We know when we activate downtown intentionally, just like this past weekend with Downtown Live, partnership with the Raging Cajuns. That was huge. That was one of the best downtown lives of my 5 years. Besides, Wayne Toots, it's Wayne. But we saw a lot of young people. Rachel on our team was like scouting around downtown, and she said there were people walking around everywhere. They weren't just in the park, they were in the restaurants, they were in the music venues, they were in the bars, they were in the shops. And then I came downtown, and I texted my team on Saturday, sorry y'all, to just tell them how excited I was, because I came midday, and there were families everywhere. So Tare is smiling so big because I was in Sunday Soda Fountain, and it was a madhouse. Again, the university played a tremendous role in that. They had an insect day at the Children's Museum, Science Museum, excuse me. And the Children's Museum is open on the weekends. We're working on a playground. Back to your point about things for people of all ages to be able to do, I think we have a lot of great built-in amenities already. And when we program well, when we partner, when we leverage each other, when we talk about what we have going on, I came all the way down Jefferson in my car, and I probably saw 35 families, like 12 people crossing the street at the same time in the crosswalk. You don't see that every day, but if we can get that sort of energy all the time, I think that's going to be a huge leap forward for us, and I think residents are a key to that.
Yeah, I think going back to the question of how do we get more residents in downtown, I think, kind of in the process of purchasing this building, in a project this big, where I'm at in life, it's kind of like I send it out to 12 different bankers and see which ones bite and are interested in the deal kind of thing. And we got a lot of negative feedback that, man, it's a big investment for downtown. Or, I don't know if something that expensive could work in downtown. And I think, not only bridging the gap with, a new generation of people with resources to come and invest here, but I think we also need to connect with all of our local financial institutions and let them see how great downtown can be, so that people that maybe want to come down here don't run to their banker and the bank's like, man, that's downtown. You can't do that, So we did get a bunch of pushback on that from some financial institutions that just couldn't see the forest trees.
That's great feedback for us. There's numerous banks
Yep.
in the audience. We've kind of talked about this before. Maybe we need to bring everybody together and kind of paint a picture of what's been happening downtown. We've got a lot of great local banks who invest in our organization, in DLU, and the activities we do, but I do think we still have a story to tell about the activity that's been happening over the last 5 years, sewing it together for people and making it feel real. Because I do see people come downtown who aren't down here as often as we are, and they're like, whoa, like what happened? There's a lot going on. And so I think back to Acadiana, we still have a lot of work to do, and y'all are all helping us do that. We can't be everywhere all the time. The way that y'all post about downtown, many of you are always tagging us and talking about the cool things you're doing. It really starts to permeate. And it spreads a message of positivity, and when people see people eating with their families, they're like, oh, I can do that too. It really does help. So I encourage you all to continue doing that, being positive, talking about what's happening downtown, sharing the good news that folks like y'all are doing, and many of you in the audience are doing as well. Any questions? Anybody? Any thoughts?
So I have a thought. It's very tiny.
Well, we take tiny thoughts.
The food tour. I don't know if Maureen's in the audience.
She's not here today.
A food tour downtown would be fantastic. I'm always looking for something for me and my husband to do, and I'm like, food tours. So we've done all the food tours that she has to offer, but I think downtown would be fabulous.
So she's talking about Marie Cody from Cajun Food Tours, and we've talked about it over the years. I think we probably should just get a little round table of people together and make it happen. She's pretty busy touring people, so we might have to help her. But she is a DLU member, and I think has been for like 4 or 5 years now, and we'd love that.
She's planning
She's been working on it. Let's make it happen.
That's a great thing.
And then you all need to come on the first one. We can get some great photos, and we can have a good time. We do, food tours like me and my husband, all the time, progressive things. That's my favorite way to do downtown. Just stop here, have a drink and a bite, and then keep going. And I think a lot of people, we talk about this in our office, a lot of people still need help with like having an experience. They don't quite know how to approach it. There's a lot of choices. Who's gonna be there? What's going on? Is it open? What do I do? And so, you know, we've been working on some blogs, Gabrielle in our office, Anna Laura just joined our team about 5 months ago, about how our marketing efforts can help teach people how to do downtown. Jackie?
I was just gonna say thank you. I mean, I've been down here for a long time. It's nice to see people coming in and investing and being a part of the downtown community. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Yes, we're excited to be here.
Go ahead.
Yes, I just thank you as well, and I just have to say too, because I think it does take, you know, it takes people with passion and love, and then obviously the ability and the knowledge and all of that to bring, but you are, I mean, this is inspiring to people, and I'll just say, like, I've been teaching yoga, I've been going to Reds for my entire life, but I haven't been body pump in like 15 years, and I went to the other side, and I was the class had already started, I was very intimidated, I didn't know how to do the equipment or whatever, and so somebody, you know, it was actually one of my yoga students, it was like, come, let me show you, but it's like, we do have, like, even in our familiar spaces and places, you know, it's like to step out and do a new thing, so like, yeah, there's a lot of people that don't, you know, we love downtown, like, my daughter is gonna like grow up, she already knows all the things, but like, if that's not already a part of your experience, like, you do kind of need someone to guide you, talking about it, and, you know, things like this, you know, sharing the love is very important.
So I'm not gonna probably be able to remember all 4, but our team at DLU has been talking about our core values. We're working with Betsy Richard, who is here or was here, I don't know if she's still here, I can't see her, on traction. And so we've been talking about our core values, we've been talking about our 4 uniques, and our 4 uniques are we're local, we're walkable, come on, help me out. We're local, we're walkable, experiential, what else, Rachel? Welcoming, that's it. And so when I did this because I had my notes for Leah and the folks at the Acadian Mortgage Lenders Association, but like we really thought, what do we have that's different to offer to people? We're walkable, we're local, you can have an experience downtown, and you're going to be welcome here. You're going to feel welcome here. We want everyone to want to be here. And then we talked about what our team's promise is for downtown, or what we can guarantee is we're going to bring people downtown. And so a lot of what we think about is foot traffic related. What can we do? Who can we talk about? How can we position downtown? What's going on? What's going to get people to want to click on something? What's going to make them get in their cars and decide to come down here? And a lot of it has to do with painting a picture for people and making them feel welcome. So to circle back to Downtown Alive, we spent probably the last year working on that Raging Cajuns Downtown Alive. It was welcome week for the freshmen. There were a lot of athletes who joined us, and a lot of those people don't spend time downtown. They're literally just down the street for their whole campus experience, but they don't spend a whole lot of time downtown. So we really wanted to make them feel welcome, and I think that's like kind of a new era of doing that every year, getting students feeling comfortable coming downtown, knowing what they can do when they get here, hopefully living down here in masses in the relatively near future. But we also engage volunteers and families. And so Anna Laura was like our volunteer liaison for last Friday, and many of our volunteers are not originally from here. Like they kind of figured out Downtown Alive is a thing, they're trying to figure out how to meet people, get involved. A few of them are foreign, and this is their introduction to our community. Downtown is, and Downtown Alive is. We met several families who are not originally from here. We're like, this is great. I'm so glad y'all's community does this. So downtown is a welcome mat in a lot of ways, and so we need to make sure it's clean and it feels safe and there's cool things to do because it's people's, kind of first experience with Lafayette. Any other thoughts, questions, ideas before I tell you about all of our great events coming up? No? Okay. Chris, Leah, thank y'all so much.